Okay, so good evening, everybody. My name's Adam White, and it is time for another Facebook Live event for the Alaska Airmen's Association. We'll let a few folks join us here in a few minutes, so I'll just start rambling and talking here while other folks are able to join us. As you can tell, I am sitting here in a hangar with the aircraft here behind me. This is one of the airplanes that I fly in my other roles and other jobs other than just with the Alaska Airmen's Association. It's an M7 MAL with wheels, floats, and skis. You can see the floats up there above my head hanging from the rafters. Floats are going to be put on here probably in another 3 weeks maybe. We still got a lot of snow out here in Nenana. That's where I am, by the way. I don't live in Anchorage. I live up in the interior outside of Fairbanks in a little town called Nenana. So yeah, I'm out here in the hangar again this time. Wanted to kind of bring folks a little bit of an update. Kind of wearing a little bit of a summer shirt, a little Hawaiian shirt. It got up to 50 degrees today here in Nenana. The snow is starting to melt and it's getting pretty sloppy with the snow conditions. Still a little bit of ski flying left if you can get out early enough in the morning. So winter is not letting go that easy right now. I wanted to quickly update a few of you. I've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls about some of the mandates that we have here in the state and some of the things that we can and can't do and what's the forecast looking like for some of those and all that. So hopefully we've got enough people joining us now that we can maybe get a few questions from some of you. If you have any of those, I'll do my best to address that. It's nice to see some folks popping up, some familiar names that I'm seeing, so that's good to see. Not seeing any comments on Facebook just yet. If somebody can comment and let me know that you're there, that way I'll make sure that I'm not missing anything there. A lot of folks joining us on Instagram tonight already. So, hey, there you go. Thanks, Doug. Yeah, I was mentioning earlier that 50 degrees outside today, and so I thought I'd wear a little Hawaiian shirt to kind of get in the mood of summer. So anyway, yeah, we're still dealing with the health mandates here in Alaska. I was just listening to some of the governor's press conference that was just happening. Governor Dunleavy and Dr. Zink, the Chief Medical Officer for the Department of Health and Social Services here in Alaska. They were taking some questions. The governor's talking about trying to open things back up here pretty soon. We're not exactly sure what that's going to look like. So we're going to go back and I'll watch the first part of that press conference. I missed the first few minutes of it as I was getting back out here to the hangar to get things set up. I actually had to quick go home, take a shower. You didn't want me sitting here on camera tonight. Well, I got pretty dirty today working on some stuff. So anyway, the health mandates are still in effect. And what does that mean? A lot of folks are asking me, does that mean I can go flying? 10 days ago or so when I did that other update, some folks were saying, I don't know what the big deal is. Of course we can go flying. We can do what we've always been doing. Well, not exactly. You can go flying. The social distancing health mandate is a big thing. How are you going to comply with that mandate as you go flying? I think you can. I think you can do it, but you have to be careful. So the 6-foot rule, if they're outside of your household, I don't know what kind of airplane you fly, but it's going to be kind of hard to do. I can probably keep 6 feet away from someone if I put them back in the back of the 206, the other airplane here in the hangar. But what's the fun of that, right? The governor is actually, governor's office has kind of clarified some of those questions for us. They have specifically mentioned to us in some correspondence that yes, flying is still permitted if you're able to maintain the social distancing protocols that are listed in health mandate number 11. Now, if you're not familiar with what that is, probably the best thing for you to do is to get into a search engine on your device and just type in Alaska health mandates and go through and read those. I just did that this evening and very quickly came up with the Department of Health and Social Services and their website. The governor's page was listed there as well. So very easy to go and find those mandates. Please read them. Please understand what the intent is, and please follow them, okay? Yes, we can go flying, but we have to be careful what we're doing. So Doug is asking a question, any updates on travels out to the villages? I heard that only airline flying to the villages is what's happening there. So yeah, there are some flights that are still being made. I'm sure we've all heard that Raven is now out of the game. That has thrown a huge monkey wrench into the plans of transportation of goods and services and people throughout remote and rural Alaska. The other air taxis are stepping up to try to absorb that extra load, but it's going to take a little bit of time before they do that. Now, what does that mean if you're traveling? The intrastate health mandate number 12, does specifically say that it is not the responsibility of the air taxis to verify if you are legitimately traveling, if you're an essential worker or meet those other qualifications. That is on you to be able to legitimately claim that that's what you're traveling for. Now, if you're traveling in your own personal aircraft to go out and do something, you need to call ahead. Actually was on the phone and sending emails back and forth this afternoon about some of that. If you check the NOTAMs, there have been a couple of airports that have been listed as closed except for medevac and cargo. That's a little concerning because the governor and the DOT commissioner have gone on record, and it's been mentioned in press conferences, that the state is still open. Highways, roads, marine ports, docks, and airports are still open. And so we worked through a few of those and got some of those NOTAMs changed. Some of them were just because some folks didn't understand what the rules were. Some of them didn't understand what was going on. Others, my fear is that they were afraid and they were trying to protect their community. But airports should remain open, especially if they are receiving federal funds. The FAA has gone on record saying that can't be closing airports down. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be limited to your travels when you get to a particular airport, but that doesn't prevent you from actually going there, other than the intrastate travel health mandate number 12. So please make sure that you're following these mandates. I know a lot of folks are saying, well, I'm going to go out and do what I'm going to do. This whole virus thing, it's all a big hoax. It's no big deal. It's just a big conspiracy. Outside of your political beliefs, outside of your opinions as to whether or not things are happening as we may be presented in the press, trust me, I have my own opinions about what we see and what we hear and what we read, and who we can trust and who we should, in the words of Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. We still have some mandates that have been issued by the government, and so those things are there for a reason, and we need to do our best to make sure that we are not giving general aviation a black eye in this. And that is there are times when my job is hard doing government affairs for the Alaska Airmen's Association. Do me a favor, don't make my job any harder. Don't go out and do something foolish and give general aviation a bad name. We actually have an opportunity through this for the public to see us as helpful, for the public to see us as someone that can be relied on and trusted to be able to make things better, not for doing something that's going to put a lot of people in danger and in jeopardy. So please, 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 don't do something that's going to make my job harder advocating for general aviation in Alaska to the government, and both local, state, and federal governments along those lines. So again, go back and read the health mandates. Do a simple search there on any browser and health mandate Alaska, and they'll pop up and you'll be able to see that. So other folks have been asking me, what about all the FAA rules and regulations and things that expire? We got some guidance on our medical that if you have your medical that's going to expire, you've been given a grace period by the FAA that there's not going to be any enforcement action against you, but check with your insurance company, because I'm still getting reports of insurance companies saying, yeah, we don't care what the FAA says, we're not going to cover you if you have a claim and your medical's expired. Same thing I'm hearing about annual inspections and other things. I've been talking to folks within the FAA, both here in Alaska and all the way up to the Washington, D.C. level. And excuse me. And the FAA is working on it. They're trying to come up with some guidance for us. Sorry about that. Some guidance as far as our annual inspections and instrument proficiency. We've got those 6 approaches in 6 months and 1 hold that we got to worry about. Transponder checks, all those things. Biannual flight reviews, flight instructor certificates expiring and all that. So the FAA is working on it. I will tell you though that they are working on some higher priority things right now with trying to keep commercial aviation and the airlines and air traffic control up and running with some of their rules and things that are lapsing and expiring. So trying to get that squared away. But I've been promised that we should see some rulings coming out here in the next week or 2 about some of that. So stay tuned, and I'll make sure to get that information to you as we go. I mentioned some opportunities for general aviation to be a help. I don't know what it's like in your backyard, but I can tell you in mine, the snow is melting really fast. As I mentioned earlier, it's 50 degrees outside here in Nenana this afternoon and early evening. And to celebrate hitting 50 degrees, I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt just because it felt right. But we all know what happens when things start to melt too fast. We can have issues with ice jams and other things. So stay tuned for some possibilities of some opportunities for general aviation to be a help and possibly even be a hero. So when it comes to ice jams and pilot reports and those kinds of things. So don't have any definitive things to talk about on that yet, other than just to let you know that that's coming. So keep an eye out for that. So I'm just wondering, I've got a few folks checking in. Any other questions from anybody out there? I want to make sure I cover things that people want to know about instead of just some things that I wanted to make sure we covered. One of the other things that's not related, I guess somewhat related, but not directly related to the virus. You've probably read or heard, actually the transponder just came out again. I got my copy in the mail on Saturday, so if you haven't received yours yet, it should be in the mailbox anytime now. But the restricted area over the Clear Air Force Station at the north end of Windy Pass, and that is literally in my backyard here in Nenana, just down the road. They're putting in a new radar station, but that construction project has been put on hold. It is now officially in caretaker status, meaning that there's really just kind of a skeleton crew there on that job site, and that is putting that project way behind. Not sure what that's going to do for their testing period. It was scheduled to start this summer, testing that radar, which was going to mean some temporary flight restrictions coming up over the north end of Windy Pass that were going to mimic what the new airspace was going to look like. My best guess right now, from what I'm hearing from the military, is that testing will not happen until probably till October. And so we'll see if that timeline slips or not. But right now, I don't think we're going to have any airspace restrictions over the Clear Air Force Station this summer. But that remains to be seen. So, question there is Raven Chapter 7 or Chapter 11, no longer an airline or just reorganizing? I'm not sure exactly. I think last I read it was Chapter 11 that they were filing for, but I'm not sure. That's still a very fluid situation. I got a lot of friends that fly for Raven, and so they're trying to figure things out on their end as well. But I do know that several of the other air taxis are stepping up to fill the gap and try to keep goods and services flowing, even in spite of particular local governments trying to do something that the Attorney General came back and says, no, you can't commandeer all their assets. We've got to let this go through bankruptcy and other things. So, but we'll see. The landscape is going to be completely different when it comes to aviation, not just here in Alaska, but around the world. Also read today that Princess has canceled their entire season. So no cruise ships, no trains, no buses. All the hotels and everything that they operate are going to be shut down for the summer. And I know that there's a lot of air tour industry that happens because of those tourists when they come in. So it's going to be different. We'll have to see what we can do to help get Alaska back on its feet. The governor was talking about that tonight in his press conference, trying to get the economy started back up here in Alaska. A couple other things I want to quickly mention to you that raffle tickets, they are selling fast, and we do not have that many left. So we actually have a countdown timer now on the alaskaairmen.org website until the raffle. So please go and check and see what that time countdown is. Don't wait to the last minute. You probably won't be able to get a ticket because they are selling quick, and we're almost out. So call tomorrow morning. Victoria and Calvin and Kristen and Megan are going to hate me for this. The other folks in the working in the Airmen's office in Anchorage, because they're going to be busy tomorrow because I'm telling you to go buy your tickets. But you need to buy your tickets. If you haven't seen what that airplane is, it's an incredible job that those folks at Above Alaska are doing, rebuilding that Cessna 180. You can go to their social media pages. You can see some of the updates on our social media. A lot of great progress happening with that airplane. And 180 is a great airplane to begin with, but this one's going to be something special. So buy your tickets. Don't buy just one, because you need to help the airmen with our bottom line a little bit. This is our biggest fundraiser, and since the trade show is not going to happen this year, that's really putting a crunch on our budget for sure. So please do us a favor and help the association out so we can keep advocating for general aviation here in Alaska. So any other questions from anybody out there that I can maybe answer? This is kind of stump the chump time here, so anything goes. It doesn't necessarily mean I'll answer it, but is there any other questions from folks out there? Also want to remind you that we will be archiving these live events on our YouTube channel, and so you can go back and watch these previous government affairs updates that I've done in the weeks and months past, and find out some more information. Always willing and able to talk to you offline, answer your questions. My contact information is on our website. Once again, alaskaairmen.org, and you can email me or call me. My cell phone actually is listed there. So I do turn it off at 10 o'clock at night. So if you've got a question after 10 o'clock Alaska time, I'll get to you in the morning. So I need a little bit of family time too. Again, just wanted to quickly give you a brief update on what's been going on. The mandates that we have in place now are going to be reviewed by the 21st of this month. So expect some changes in those mandates, either extending them or canceling them or modifying them. And we'll have to see how that goes. So, Tom was mentioning the nice sound effect. I am obviously here in the hangar, and somebody's out doing touch and goes this evening. So they're out enjoying getting out and getting out of the house, that's for sure. So I'm pretty sure they're socially distancing. I only saw one person as I looked through the window in the cockpit, but they're a little more than a quarter mile away as I look out the window. So I'm gonna assume the best, that they are socially distancing from folks outside of their own household as they are out enjoying the 50-degree weather that we're enjoying here in Nenana tonight. So I don't want to keep folks too long, but that's just kind of a quick wrap up of some of the things as what's going on. And left seater there on Instagram, sure would like to see a waiver for transponder and static checks. I would too. Actually, my 206 expires this month on both of those, and I'm having a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out how to get that airplane into the shop. So we're working on that. The FAA is going to come out with some documentation, they say, within a next week or so, to be able to give us some specific guidance on that. I don't have anything definitive yet, but my guess is we will get some relief on those things. The FAA totally understands what we're dealing with, but we'll have to wait and see what the things really look like. Other folks are asking about fuel availability around the state. My understanding is that fuel, where it has been available in the past, is still available now. I've been reading reports that the global market for jet fuel right now is completely flooded, just because there's nobody flying. And so, and JD, you're specifically asking about here in Indiana. Yep, fuel is still flowing out of the self-serve pumps over here across the airport from me. I know a lot of folks stop here on their way to and from the north side of the range and the south side of the range. So anyway, if there's nothing else that I'm seeing popping up here, appreciate everybody tuning in, and I'll come back with some more information when I have it. I typically only do these once a month, but this is the second one for April, because it's kind of important that we keep everybody informed and in the loop. So keep an eye on emails and social media for an announcement of the next time I'll do this. And read your transponder and look for some more information, especially about a comment period for the new restricted area that's being proposed over Clear Air Force Station. There should be a new comment period open up here in May sometime for that. So believe me, I'll get the word out, and you'll see diagrams and pictures and all kinds of neat things to look at, so we can make sure that we have an informed membership to be able to get your comments in about how that airspace is going to change what you do. So with that, I'll say goodnight. I'm going to go out and enjoy the sun that's left and the 50-degree weather and slosh around out there in the snow. But it's nice to have everybody here, and we will do it again sometime soon. So good night, everybody.